Hey y'all, it's Christopher on Sunday, week 85. How y'all doing? Before I get started, I want to shout out to Taylor, the new Wednesday. He's fabulous, and I pretty much love him. And he's going to make a wonderful part of the team. I mean, he's already been part of the team, but like a wonderful weekly face. Yeah, good job, Taylor. Yeah, so, week 85 topics. Number 1, homophobia, also including biphobia, transphobia, etc. Or, yeah, etc. How has homophobia directly affected you? How have you ever had to stand up for yourself or on behalf of someone else? Have you ever felt threatened? What do you do when someone you're close to makes homophobic remarks? Well, I feel like, first of all, homophobia is not the right word to, obviously and we all know what we're talking about here. But the word homophobia doesn't mean, like, they're not afraid of us. They're just dumb. Let's be honest. They are stupid. Okay? I don't like to, like, use words like that, but this topic makes me very angry, guys. I'm warning you ahead of time. They're not afraid of gay people. They are just close-minded. They were, either something... I can't think of a good reason. I was gonna say maybe they were brought up that way, but I don't know. Okay, anyways. You know what we're talking about, so how has it affected me directly? I mean, people say things. I mean, growing up, people have said things and done things and, pushed and shoved, and it went on for a while. And, eventually I told my story about how I left middle school and went to a high school that was kind of far away from where I went. But once I got there, I stopped running, and I started hitting it dead on. And first of all, it takes a lot of confidence and a lot of self-control, because you don't want to push yourself too far when standing up to a bully, because first of all, there's no need to hit, ever. I mean, if you are hit first, it's more appropriate to attempt to walk away still. Obviously, if you can't, you have to hit back, and I'm not promoting violence. But what I'm saying is you don't ever want to push yourself to that point first. You don't ever want to jump to a swing. But standing up, it stopped affecting me when I started standing up for myself. When I started to say, that's not okay, you need to apologize. Or, that's not okay, look at your own life before you start to try to judge mine. And a lot of people, for a lot of people, they take to that quickly, because the reason that a lot of people do it is because they think that they can. They think that, like, when you're on a sports team, you make fun of your teammates, you, pick at each other, and it makes you stronger on the field. And a lot of people take that, and then they do it in life, and they're like, oh, a lot of people don't do it maliciously. There are a lot of malicious people. I'm not defending them, but a lot of people don't do it maliciously. They just, pick at you, but for a lot of people, the second you're like, stop, you don't need to speak to me like that, they stop, in my experience. I felt threatened in middle school. I felt threatened a lot, but after that, it stopped. It stopped for me, but I've definitely had to stand up for others. I stand up for others all the time, because a lot of people, I feel like I went through the transition of learning who I was sooner than a lot of people, so I have a heavy back history, so I'm more prepared now, so that people who have only been out for a year or two, or still working on it, they're not really prepared to handle the picking and the harsh comments and the societal ignorance. They kind of just cower their heads, but I'm right there. I'm like, leave them alone. They didn't do anything to you. Shut up. You sound stupid. Walk away. I have been in physical altercations. I'm not proud of them. But, I mean, when you walk by and you see someone being abused physically, for me, there's just something that snaps inside of my body. And a rage takes over. No one ever got physically hurt. I didn't kill anyone. No one bruised me. It never went that far. I don't suggest it. I stay away from violence as much as you can. Try to deal with it with words. I know it's a lot easier said than done, and I know that a lot of you are probably thinking, I don't need another lecture, like this is what our teachers tell us. But it's true. There's no need for it. Which is why self-control is a really big thing. When people say things around me, it kind of depends on the situation. Like I was at the bowling alley one time, and I was with friends, and people who I don't even know were on the other lanes, and they were throwing the F word around, the F-A-G word, loudly enough so we could hear it. And at first, I was kind of just like, brush it off, it's not my business, they're over there, I'm over here. But that word just doesn't sit right with me. So, you know, I asked them nicely to knock it off, and they were really polite about it. They didn't mean to offend anyone. They weren't being vicious about it. They were picking at each other. But they stopped. Guys, you'd be really surprised what your words can do. I think the mindset across the board is that I can't stick up for myself because they're bigger than me, or I'm not strong enough. But really, your words do a lot. Ideas can change the world, guys. You just have to implement them. So I suggest that you speak out for yourself, and if you don't, I'll be there. I mean, I'm there for all of my friends. I'm there for people that I don't even know. I just don't like to see people thrown under a bus. I don't like to watch the underdog being pounded on. So, I mean, I try really hard not to freak out when people say remarks like that, but, it eventually just comes to a point where I have to say something. Topic number 2. Which of the deadly sins do you connect with you, and why? Well, first of all, I had no idea what they were until I even got this topic, so I went and looked them up. I'm not really a religious, biblical person. So for anyone else who's like me and doesn't know, the 7 deadly sins, also known as the capital vices or cardinal sins, is a classification of objectionable vices that have been used since early Christian time to educate and instruct Christians concerning falling humanity's tendencies to sin. The currently recognized version of the sins are usually given as wrath, greed, sloth, pride, lust, envy, and gluttony. So I looked at all of them, and the one that correlates with me the most, I would probably have to say is pride. In good ways and bad ways. Because, I mean, I don't agree so much that it's a sin per se, but reading how they look at it, I can see why they would think that. I just carry a lot of pride in everything that I do. I don't really walk out of the house unless I'm proud of the way that I look. When I do something at school or at work, I make sure that I put all of myself into it so that I can be proud of the work that comes out of it. Now, the downfalls to that are that a person, like, things might not get done. Like, if a person is too proud, like, first of all, in an argument, if you're arguing about something really silly, but you're just too proud to let it go, that's obnoxious. And I do that a lot. I'll be very honest. Or if you're doing, like, some piece of work and you're just not proud of how it's happening, there might be something inside of you that says it's better to just not turn it in than to not be proud, which is wrong, guys. You should always turn in your work for whatever you're doing. but it reads, oh, and I don't think that this is a sin either, but it reads on the internet thing that I looked it up on, it says that pride represents the love of self and the hatred of the neighbor. I do love myself a lot. I'm a very confident person. I enjoy my brain. I enjoy my features. I'm the first to point out them, but at the same time, I do recognize my flaws. I just turn them around to be proud of them, and I don't hate my neighbor at all. I'm a very, very unjudgmental person. So, I guess pride. I'd like to know what all of you identify with for these sins. So comment in this video, or hit us up on Facebook, or tell us in Tumblr which one most responds to you. And of course, any other questions, comments, concerns, short stories, anything on your mind that you want to get off or you need to tell someone, you can come to us. We're here. We'll take you. We'll take you under our wing. We'll hug you. We'll squeeze you. Yeah, so I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my Sunday. My show, Once Upon a Time, new episode tonight, 8 o'clock. That's where I'll be. And as always, stay wonderful and stay beautiful, and Christopher's out.